Welcome
to the Bring Me to Life podcast.
It's time to wake up
and shine on.
All right, everybody, welcome. This is episode 223 of the Bring Me to Life podcast. My name is Selomon, and I am joined by Shannon Shine.
What up, humans? Thanks for shining on with us. I'm glad you're here, tuning into another episode where we're going to talk about some more angels. I hope you've enjoyed the other episodes of the last few where we've talked about some of the other angels of the Major 13 or the Council of 13.
The Council of 13 that started at episode 220, I believe.
Yeah, and I'm super inspired by angels. If you're just tuning into this episode, I've been painting a lot of them, channeling a lot of them, got a calendar full of them. And today we're talking about two of my favorite. We're going to talk about three angels, but two of them are ones that I've worked with a lot. And I know CeeLo has also worked with two of these major angels a lot, and many of you probably have too. So we encourage you to connect with us in the Bring Me to Life community and share your angelic stories. And yeah, I'm real excited.
Two well-known angels. One not very well-known angel. I didn't know much about this angel until, doing a little bit of research.
Yeah, we'll end off with that one because I know that you are rather excited to talk about these other two because we've both personally had probably the most experience with these two angels aside from maybe Metatron. So do you want to dive in first with one that most people probably know?
Yeah, so I think Michael would be it because almost any time I talk to people about working with angels, if they do, it's most likely with Michael. So he's definitely out there and he's definitely helping a lot of humans through the craziness. Archangel
Michael. What a powerful, powerful angel. So I'll go ahead and give my little spiel on Michael because I did a little bit of angel research when I created my calendar, and then I would love to hear some of your Michael stories.
Yeah, so many of them too. So
Michael is also an angel that is one of my most connected, as I've said a couple of times now, because I believe that I connected with Archangel Michael when I was basically 4 years old. It was a fractal of Michael, and then I met other fractals pretty close in the same time. So, being that young, it's hard to remember, but I felt this sense of protection and this deep knowing that everything was going to be okay, even though I was in a really dark time of my very early life. And Archangel Michael is a more well-known angel as he's the presence of protection and strength. And he's often depicted, with a sword of fire and in an indigo or a deep bluish purple color as he works with the violet flame. So he's kind of like the leader of the main archangels. He's considered God's most trusted angel. The Michael energy is an angel that defends us in battles or in wars, and also it has been sent here to help us explore this physical world. So Michael's a really good angel to call upon when you're in need of help or strength, or if you're going through a tough situation. And his energy often comes to bring encouragement or a good omen as you make decisions. And I usually see him come with the other angel, which we're going to speak about today, Raphael, and or Gabriel. When Gabriel comes with messages, Michael comes with protection for those messages. And when Raphael comes for healing, Michael comes to protect from whatever Raphael's healing. So he's kind of like the commander-in-chief and often comes as a guardian to protect the other angels as well.
That's really awesome. I've been thinking back when the first time I realized I was communicating with Michael, and I believe I'm going to be a little open here with some experiences I had. So I was in San Francisco and I was staying on kind of the street, like basically sleeping on the street with all the street kids and whatnot. And there was somebody that myself and a few friends met, and he was hanging out on Haight-Ashbury. And if you haven't been to Haight-Ashbury, it's a really wild place. A lot of spirituality. It's where the Grateful Dead recorded their album in 1969, and just like really intense, powerful energy. And we met this dude who was living in his van, and he was a drug dealer, and he was actually really cool. Like, he was actually a really, like, decent guy. And so, like, we hung out with him in his van, just kind of like, I don't know, meeting people and hanging out in weird vans. And he gave me 3 different types of psychedelics. And so I was on these type of psychedelics, and I was walking down the street, and then all of a sudden, like, very intense imagery of like this beautiful rainbow circle, and then it started to, like, expand out, like it was fractaling, and I basically saw like a version of the fractal of life where it was just expanding and like fractaling. And so I saw that and was getting into a very, like, high vibe spiritual place, because back in that trip, that was my main purpose. Like, it was a huge spiritual pilgrimage, so, like, everything I did was very focused on that. And so this psychedelic experience just really, like, anchored in that desire to communicate with the divine. And so all of a sudden, this divine spiritual being, this angel, started to communicate with me. And at first it was through my thoughts. Like, it was like I was thinking these thoughts, but I knew it wasn't me, and they were like replying back to me. And it was really late at night. It was like 2-3 in the morning. But there's this place called Hippie Hill in San Francisco, and at the bottom of Hippie Hill is a gigantic peace sign. And for some reason, I was drawn to that peace sign, and I sat down and started to meditate, and Archangel Michael basically introduced himself. And then he started to communicate through my voice. And this is where it went really crazy, because we started to kind of dance, where I would think a thought, and Archangel Michael would speak through my vocal cords to me. And then I would ask a question out loud and use my voice, and then he would answer me in my thoughts. And it was like back and forth like that for a little while. And that was the first time I actually, like, vocally channeled Archangel Michael. And for some reason, for me, he has like this accent, like a British accent or something. And I don't know why, but that's just how he comes out to me.
I mean, mine kind of talks to me in this, like, I like to say bro slang, because they'll be, like, very blunt with me. Like, my angels will literally be like, "What the fuck are you doing, Shannon?" And, like, get your shit together. And, like, they'll talk to me in ways that they know that I will respond. Yeah. Like, kind of, like, personally, you know? But then there's certain angels that do have, like, more of an accent or, like, a different character to them. But I think because so for me, I connected with Archangel Michael and Raphael and Gabriel and maybe even Metatron when I was really young. And I kind of feel like they've grown up with me in a way. Like, they were a little bit older than me. Like, when they came, like, they would have been, like, you know, maybe even look like they represented the age frequency to me of, like, a 10 to, like, a 15-year-old now when I was like 4, like something I would look up to. And, like, as I've aged, they've come to me as, like, a being that doesn't seem condescending to me, but is, like, older, just enough older than me that I feel an easy connection with them. But that's, like, my personal experience with them. Some people may see them as, like, wise old beings or, like, ageless beings, and they look the same no matter when they see them or speak them. Like, some people will say they see, like, I see it with my inner eye. There's not this, like, hologram vision of an angel in front of me. It's more of, like, exactly how you expressed it, as, like, a dialogue. And, like, if I close my eyes, I could create, like, an imagery of what they would look like as when I'm saying, like, you know, like, they've changed in age, but, like, how they've spoken to me has also, like, changed with my age.
Oh, that's really cool to think about. You know, I'm sure the angels are able to project themselves in a way that just resonates with each individual the most.
Oh, definitely.
So very cool, very cool. Yeah, that was a very cool experience. And, you know, Michael's come up in so many scenarios, and definitely a huge protector, like protected myself through many different times. I actually was driving one time on the highway, and I literally felt this angel tug on my arm, and as it did, like, a car got really close to me, and I could have hit that car, like, right then.
I feel like that's happened for me several times. I don't want to cut your story off. Do you mind if I share a quick story?
That was like the second one was a very short one.
Just wanted to make sure. I like to hold space for your stories as well.
I appreciate it.
I have this frequent situation or synchronicity where certain people will appear with similar names, kind of like guardians. And I kind of forgot about this one, but I remembered as you were talking about the car. And there was this time, maybe a couple weeks before you came into my life, and I was driving from a couple counties over really late at night, and my car basically got ran off the road by a tractor trailer. And I remember just like really freaking out, and my phone didn't have signal, and my wheel was all messed up, and I got out of my car and there were a couple of skunks doing their thing.
Oh, geez.
And then the little like
skunk love.
Oh, you know, that black and white though. I was like, that's a really adorable scene, but this is really terrifying. And if either of those little creatures spray me, I'm going to be really upset. Yeah. So I like hurried back into my car. There's some comedy really for you, but I hurried back into my car, and I remember praying and asking, I was like, yo, is there an angel or somebody out there? Can you please send an angel spirit? Like,
get these skunks out of here.
I am so scared on the side of the road, because I was like, I don't know, I guess I was like maybe 21, and I was out late, and I wasn't really supposed to be like running around. Like, I couldn't have easily called anybody. And I sat there and I was like, all right. And I felt this like deep sense of presence. And I kind of felt it when I went off the road too, because something told me like, just drive off the side, you'll be all right, even though it screwed up my car. But it was kind of like you said, like Michael pulled me in a direction. Mm-hmm. And when it did, and after I got this sense of like protection, I was like, all right, I'm just going to change this tire, figure out this spare situation. Like, I'd never done any of that before. But I was determined to do it. So I got out and I started trying to figure it out. And this big old truck pulls up behind me, and I'm like, oh no, this could be, you know, like that could be like a scene in like a horror movie.
Yeah.
But this
guy's gonna kill me.
I mean, it could have happened, but instead this guy was in the car, and he was wearing one of those like Baja hoodies. Some people call them rugs or whatever.
Hippie hoodies.
Hippie rugs. And he just had this like big smile on his face, and I was like, this could still go badly. But he hopped out of the car, and he came up, and he said his name was Joe. And I was just like, I don't know why, but for me, like the name Joe, I guess maybe he was like a fractal of Raphael, you know, yeah. Like Raphael is like to find that inner self-confidence and joy or whatever. But anyway, I have a affinity for Joes and Franks and Pauls.
A lot of Joes in our lives.
Yeah. And a lot of Michaels.
So many Michaels and so many Joes.
So, fun fact, Joe got out, tried to help me with my car, and we couldn't, like, it bent my jack in half. Like, the jack that was with my car, like, it just straight up bent it. And this,
You need a stronger jack.
Well, yeah, I got a super industrial one right after that. I was like, never, if I ever need this again. Anyway, so he was helping, and we couldn't figure it out for a minute, and then a cop pulled up. Fun fact, the cop's name was Michael. Now, I will say the cop did literally basically nothing but threaten to, you know, take me somewhere, which is a safety move. Like, he was trying to get me to safety. Mm-hmm. But then he talked to Joe, and Joe's like, now we're going to figure this out. And Officer Michael, or whatever his name, well, I don't know what his last name was. Probably good that I don't on this podcast. But he was like, I'm going to call you a tow truck. And then when the officer called the tow truck guy couldn't come because he was off on some other side mission. Mm-hmm. So the cop just wanted to take me back to the station until sunrise. Jeez. So I could do it. And I was like, I don't want to go in a car with this cop. He was going to put me in the back seat and everything. Yeah. I was like, I don't want to get in the car with this cop.
Dude, the back seats are so uncomfortable.
But he was trying to protect me.
Not that I would know.
And funny side story there. Anyway, I've been in the back of a police car before because I ran out of gas. That was a whole nother story where I was protected by a different angel. Anyway, the cop sat there and he blocked off the road so nothing else hit me. So he was acting as a protector. Thanks, Michael, in your own weird fragment there. And then Joe was helping me with my car. And Joe was like, if you really need me to, I will take you to a gas station. You don't have to get in a car if you don't feel safe getting in a car with someone else. Because I felt safer with Joe at that moment. Mm-hmm. And then I was just praying again. I was like, can I get like another angel, please? Like, can we figure out some way to fix my car? And then Michael, the cop, got out of the car and was like, hey, I think that's a tow truck. You should wave him down. So Michael and Joe stand by my car and they like wave down this tow truck. And the tow truck guy comes right up and he's like, hi, my name's Frank. And the other guy with him, his name was Paul. And then I was like, oh, these are two more of my like angelic names. Mm-hmm. And they like helped fix my car. They gave me, they jacked it up. They were able to put my spare on so they didn't have to replace the tire. They didn't have to tow it anywhere. Did it all for free. And I was like, I just got sent
miracle.
So many angels. So Michael, the cop guy, though he wasn't helpful, he was still a protector and he served his Michael role. Yeah. And then my Raphael angel gave me the confidence to figure it out. And Frank and Paul, they're kind of representation of a couple of the other angels we've already talked about. But just in general, I thought that that was a pretty powerful story that if you need protection, you can call in your angels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they can come out of nowhere in the middle of the night and just give you exactly what you need to make it through any of those situations.
It's pretty powerful. It's pretty crazy. Mm-hmm. I've got many another story, but I'll save them for a different podcast. Do you have any other Michael stories you want to share?
Yes, there was actually another time where I channeled him vocally probably for like 2 hours. And it was really cool because I was with other people. And that was the first time I ever allowed like other people to listen to me channel. And my ego was definitely like very uncomfortable and I was like, I don't want to do this. But then, you know, the energy was like, I just want to come through right now. So I just like allowed it to come through. And they were just really beautiful messages. And everybody that was in the room was just kind of like, they could just feel the energy and the vibration, you know. And so they were really into it. But it took a lot. Like when you admit that you talk to angels and you work with them and when you channel them in front of other people, it's very vulnerable and very scary because you're just wide open, you know. And so, you know, if anybody is into that, like it takes a little bit of work. But Michael is like one of the angels that I like to channel because he is such a good protector and people are just willing to work with him.
It does seem like the most people I've connected with have resonated or channeled Michael or connected with Michael. I mean, there's a St. Michael church and things like that too. So a lot of people are familiar with the St. Michael angelic energy. Yeah. And I think maybe we should even do an episode or a segment on releasing that ego and like why we think people are afraid to accept, you know, that they connect with angels and why it's so taboo. And I think it's because people are like, well, who am I to connect with an angel? I'm not a prophet. I'm not any visionary, but it's like, who are you not to connect with beings that wish to help you? Like, why would you not want to tap into something like that? And a lot of people, they say it's because they're afraid of like, if they open themselves up to that, they can also open themselves up to demons or something along those lines. And I think you mentioned in a previous episode recently how, your perspective on demons has kind of changed just because of the archetypes and stuff. And even in the show, Lucifer, it's kind of an interesting play on angels and demons.
And they talked about demons can learn and evolve and gain a soul.
Yeah, demons. Yep. They can gain a soul. I think anything with the ability to perceive life has the ability to like have some sort of soul to it.
There's people who think and believe, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong or anything, but I remember doing a podcast with somebody who was talking about everything has a soul, even like the microphones that we're using. Yeah,
like crystals and like inanimate objects can hold energy.
Right.
It's powerful when you open your mind up to those things, and some people are just, you know, not willing or wanting to open their mind up to things having that much of a meaning in their day-to-day life, because it comes with a lot of responsibility, you know, if you say you're working with angels, because it's kind of like different people's perspectives too. Like each person has their own version of the truth. So each person has their own version of what angels may say or channel too. So it does come with a lot of responsibility to be like, oh, I channel Archangel Michael, because, you know, like people take that to heart. I have people I've done readings for years ago, and they'll be like, you channeled something and Archangel Michael came up and I really resonated with it and it's really stuck with me and it's changed my whole life. So it was really a big step for me in breaking out of my ego personally and being like, is it okay for me to say that I'm channeling this being? But just being very aware of how you hold space for such entities, I think, is a really important part of that process.
Yeah. I think it is important to be aware that other people do channel it. So, you know, I think we all have this ability. Mm-hmm. We all have this ability to communicate and to channel any of the angels. And so, you know, when you tell other people and they say, oh, I channel this angel too, like that's really special. And I think it's important that we realize exactly what you're saying. We all can channel a different fractal, a different part of the message, like little puzzle pieces. Like I was saying when I saw the fractals, like I was seeing the fractals as whole, and every one of them returned back to the source. So kind of like saying all paths lead to one path. But we're all able to do these channelings. Like anybody is able to connect with Michael. And so open up. If you want to do it, you can do it. Just open up, be confident, and trust that whatever comes through is what's meant to come through. It's hard to get past egoic thoughts, and it's hard to understand, is this real? Am I like imagining this? Is this something that's just my own thoughts and I'm acting like it's an angel? Those are pretty hard to get through, but it's definitely worth, you know, exploring. Definitely.
I think we should definitely dive into that in another episode. I know we wanted to try to keep this one shorter and we're already rolling pretty deeply in here, but we will touch more on ways you can maybe tap into your angelic connections more deeply as well.
Yeah. So let's leave Archangel Michael with the affirmation, I am protected and safe.
Love it. Thanks for sharing the affirmation.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, let's hop on over to another archangel that is one of my favorite homies, known as Archangel Raphael.
Yeah, Raphael.
So Archangel Raphael is the angel of divine healing and growth, and they work with the emerald green light and is also typically associated with bringing joy and laughter into the world while working with people's minds, bodies, and spirits. So Raphael uses various frequencies and sounds as well as smells to help connect others with their personal healing process. And you know, if you're in need of healing or you're working through like a mental or emotional phase, then Raphael is probably your angel to call upon. You can also send Raphael to heal those you love or those that are maybe mourning for their family or friends, or those that are, you know, transcending their own souls through time and space. Raphael is an angel that I connected with a lot when my grandfather and my grandmother were both in the hospital. I remember spending a lot of time in waiting rooms and seeing just like, sometimes I would just kind of sit there and I would space out and meditate, and things would just kind of all be green. And I remember during that time, my favorite color was lime green. All of my notebooks were green. My favorite clothes and shirt was green.
Surrounding yourself with that frequency.
I didn't realize it though at that time. Like that was just me as a teenager when it was first happening with my grandfather. Mm-hmm. I think I had a pair of green Chucks. One time I took a green Sharpie and put a green streak in my hair because I wasn't allowed to dye it. Like I was really into that frequency because I was...
But did it even turn out green?
Kind of. My hair is pretty dark, so it just kind of turned to like darker. But it had like a green tint to it, and I definitely had green fingers. So, you know. But in that time, I remember praying a lot, and I was still going to... I was going to a Methodist church, and I remember them talking about a green healing light there too. They didn't necessarily talk about Raphael specifically, but we did this thing with our handprints around the basement for our youth group. And I remember specifically wanting my hands to be green. So I was like Reiki charging the church walls with these green handprints. And Raphael has just been such a powerful angel to me. I wanted a green malachite crystal, which is like a Raphael crystal, when my grandma was sick, and I talk about it a lot, the green malachite heart. And when I wanted healing and a friend, one of my friends who's pretty powerful musician came, and he kind of was really into Raphael. You were really into Michael. He was really into Raphael, and our other buddy was really into Gabriel. So I thought it was kind of interesting how each of you sort of channeled a fractal when I needed it most. But Raphael is quite a good homie to call upon when you need some healing in your life.
He absolutely is. I didn't realize that when I first got really deep with him. Probably even more than Michael, like that experience that I had this time, completely sober. 100%. Not even cannabis for over 2 weeks. Completely free of all that. And it was in Hawaii. I talk about this all the time, but might as well talk about it now. But I was very frustrated. I needed a lot of healing emotionally, specifically, because I was just very distraught about what was going on with my experience in Hawaii. I was alone, like I didn't have anywhere to sleep, and all my stuff got stolen. So I was like, just kind of like not sure what to do, because I didn't even have a phone to talk to anybody, call anybody. So I was just rolling around Hawaii all by myself, not knowing where to go or what to do. But I scored some peanut butter sandwiches and stayed under this bridge for 3 days. And Archangel Michael came to me and talked to me a lot about faith, but also about healing. And he used lucid dreaming and like astral projection to like show me things and to teach me lessons. And it was some of the most vivid like lucid dreams I've ever had, being able to talk to this angel. And when I was awake in waking reality, he was communicating through me, through my thoughts, and I was writing all this down. And he was just a sent by God, because I was actually talking to Source when I was really at the bottom of the barrel. I called upon Source and was like, why are you doing this to me? And I was crying. It was like the first time I've cried in many years for like being upset. And I was just crying like, God, why are you doing this to me? Like, please, like, this is bad already. Now you're making like ants bite me, and this is horrible. Like, this is the worst I've ever felt in my entire life. And Source was like responding to me and was like challenging me, like, do you think you're not strong enough to handle this? And I was like, I am strong enough. And Source was like, I'm going to send you this angel to help you through this time. And so I was expecting Archangel Michael. Again, this is completely sober, so nobody could say anything about this. And I thought it was going to be Michael. But then all of a sudden I felt this consciousness kind of like start from within me and kind of like come to my outside reality, almost like a presence around me in my physical space. And was just communicating telepathically, like helping me to, understand a lot of things. So very healing angel. Like he helped me to heal a lot of stuff then. And I had a really beautiful experience after that. Archangel Michael, Archangel Raphael, super healing, beautiful angel. Someone that after that experience was just very appreciative and honor that angel very much, because they do a lot for a lot of people on this earth. So if you need some healing, definitely call upon Archangel Raphael.
Raphael is so awesome. Yeah, I think Raphael for me, he comes, like I said, they come as like slightly different, and they're like slightly older beings, so that I feel comfortable with them. But he's also always had this like very gentle, almost shaman-y type vibration for me. Raphael's probably come to me in many different fractals, honestly. I have somebody that I work with who sees fractals of Raphael as they sort of come through the consciousness of their basically unborn child. So it's very childlike to her, but that was what healed her the most. And she sees it as a protector for her throughout her lifetime. So like, that's just an example of how different people will see things. Like maybe certain people represent or channel certain angels for you. So you'll see them as a fractal of their soul. It's wild how these energies can channel through us and hold space for us. And if you have a hard time seeing it as an entity, maybe see it more as an archetype, like the idea of these frequencies or just like what they represent, like an entity that represents healing, an entity that represents protection, an entity that represents confidence, like what they would look like. Just kind of like you can't see love, but you know love exists.
You can't see the wind sometimes.
Right.
You can see it pushing around other things.
Exactly. So it's like, I don't know. I guess I'm just trying to break it down for everyone because everyone's going to have a different way that they perceive the understanding of what we're speaking of.
Right. That's true. It's really kind of cool actually for, that kind of energy to come to us in many unique and different ways. And all we have to do is open up and, our thoughts are very powerful. Like placebo effect is a huge thing. Even say like none of the angels are real. Even thinking that they do and believing that has a huge effect on you. Like it had a huge effect on me in Hawaii.
Yeah. I mean, it's also kind of like, they say that a mother in distress can channel the strength of 1,000 warriors or whatever and like lift cars off of babies and like crazy things like that. Like it's the power of the mind. So if you believe you have the power of these beings behind you, then it helps you push forward through the barriers of typical society standards or the collective's typical boundaries it's put on you. Like, I think that's why it's not or hasn't been as talked about until more recently because, different energies maybe don't want everybody to tap into the strength that is out there in the universe from, honoring certain energies. It's probably maybe why different communities and powers took out like the deities and the goddesses and the gods and stuff when we had multiple energies that people worshipped because it gave power to the community versus this concept of like one almighty leader. Like, yeah, I still believe there's a source or a god out there, but like that entity also wants to support us. And why would they not support us with an army of angels?
Yeah. I see all of it as real, but all of it as part of just the whole, We're like a bunch of circles inside of one big, large circle. And it's kind of like the theory of everything.
I'd love to dive more into angelic theories. I have a couple other things I gotta do this evening, so let's hop into.
Well, did you want to share the affirmation first?
The affirmation for Raphael. You like sharing affirmations? You want to share it?
The one for Raphael is, "I am always healing and growing with love."
I love it. Beautiful. Well, before I hop off here to package up some goodies from my website for Christmas gifts that people are requesting. So this is your shameless reminder that if you want to support a handmade artist, whether it's me or any of them out there, get your orders in now because shipping can be crazy and we want to ensure that everyone gets a little bit of love during their holidays. And that can even include an angel calendar because
Shannon has an angel calendar. Are these 3 in it?
All of the ones we've talked about are in it because Uriel is the only one I think that it's not in it, but the affirmation for them is on the back. So there are 12 paintings included in this calendar, one for each month obviously, and there's an affirmation and a short description of each angel in the calendar. And I have a very limited number of the calendar, so if you're hearing this in the future, what's up, time traveler, you can still check out the copies of these angelic prints on my website because I've channeled energy, prayers, and just the frequency of different angels into each of my paintings here recently. And I have many others that aren't included in this calendar. So if you're looking to connect with a specific angel or even just an idea of an angel, take a look at my website. See if any of those angels speak to you.
And what is your website?
ShantasticShine.com.
Cool.
So we have one more angel from the Council of 13. This is one that's a little bit newer to both of us, but I feel really connected to.
Cool. So what's going on with this Archangel Zadkiel?
Zadkiel is the angel of forgiveness and release. So Zadkiel, they bring freedom and forgiveness. So if you're wanting more independence, you're needing to forgive someone in your life, or you're wanting to be free of a certain mindset, for example, not being able to believe or connect with angels, you can release that. And you can also call upon Zadkiel to help you forgive someone in your life. So if you're feuding with someone, or you really wish you had a deeper connection with someone, and you've been holding a grudge and you're just like, man, I really wish I could forgive this person, they will help bring healing to your heart with Raphael. And you can also ask Zadkiel to channel guidance on how you can navigate your next move to create peace. So Zadkiel speaks to us through the heart, and you will often feel a sense of, this is the right thing to do. And you may, have some inner struggle, but typically it's for the best of all humanity. Maybe not just you, but all of humanity. And when you're looking for your next steps, it's good to meditate and call upon this angel. Typically he also works with shades of purple. It can also be a she. In my calendar, I believe I represented Zadkiel as a more gender fluid being having a release. They're kind of curled up in a ball, meditating themselves. And they will also just help you surrender when we're unwilling to let go, and to bring peace in times of distress or struggle. So some other roles of Zadkiel are to not only provide forgiveness to yourself, or to not only provide forgiveness to others, but also to yourself for anything you feel guilty or ashamed of. They can also help rid us of judgmental behaviors and give us the ability to remember a recollection. What a tongue twister. Recollection of facts and memories. So sometimes if you're having a really deep block in your memory, and maybe you weren't ready to heal from it, or it's something that's going to take a lot of forgiveness. Typically this happens with people who have dealt with some extreme trauma. You can ask Zadkiel for help in not only remembering, but being able to heal from those things and traumatic experiences in your life. Zadkiel can even help students remember things for tests. I wish I would have known this in school. It was something I learned in my research, is that it's an angel that can help students.
That's
and others remember knowledge. So it's
did they work with Metatron?
Well, it works with memory. They're working with the memory. So I guess they would also be a member of the Metatron clan. The ability to tap into the Akashic records. And Zadkiel can also help us find our spiritual origins and the karma attached to them. So that's another part of the Akashic connection. So Zadkiel, the way I like to see it is Zadkiel kind of is the librarian, where Metatron and Sandalphon are kind of the Akashic security. They help bring things to the physical, and they allow you in. And Zadkiel helps you navigate it and remember at the same time. So, they work as a team. And they also say that Zadkiel works a lot with the stone amethyst. They are said to carry a holy amethyst that they can channel energy through. And it helps clear blockages and fears and concerns that are probably holding you back in your overall life.
Yeah, that's a lot of goodness right there. And I'll comment on the whole forgiveness aspect of it, because just getting out of the shower before we did this podcast, I was thinking about a certain traumatic experience I had when I was younger, where I was on my skateboard and I did a trick, and then my shoulders just something happened in my rotator cuffs that made them really painful. And it's been a while since I've felt that kind of pain, but I started feeling it again recently, and it came up in the shower, and I was like, man. And then I started randomly thinking about this event where my mom was dating this dude named Steve, calling you out, dude. And
Sup, Steve?
Bless you.
Go on.
And Steve was abusive. Like, he abused my mom and he abused me. He choked me and he would have killed me. But something happened where I think one of the angels came through me and I didn't resist. I just let him choke me and I stared right into his eyes. And I was ready to go. You know, I was like, if this is how I die, then whatever. I'm just going to stare him right in his eyes. And before it got to that point, he like, it was like in a movie, you know, where somebody like realizes what they're doing and they freak out. So he freaked out and he just like kind of ran out of the room. But that was only like one experience with this dude. So like I've had quite a lot of trauma from it. But I was, you know, thinking, why does my shoulder hurt so bad? And then I was like, oh yeah, I was thinking about this. And when my shoulder started hurting while I was playing on my skateboard, like I was living with that dude. And I probably went out because he was making me mad, like telling me I need to do this, I need to do that. But I think Archangel Zadkiel, being an angel of forgiveness, is really powerful. And I'm really glad that we got to, learn more about this angel, because forgiveness is huge. And I was reading a book by Louise Hay, and she was quoting A Course in Miracles. And in A Course in Miracles, apparently, they say that all disease comes from the unwillingness to forgive. So this is huge. Like, if you are dealing with trauma or pain or like some kind of disease, maybe think about who you need to forgive or what you need to forgive. And then call on Zadkiel.
Powerful. Powerful, powerful stuff. Yeah, it's important to be able to forgive. It's also important to be able to tap into the frequency of freedom and independence so that you can learn how to channel the guidance from all the different angels and allow yourself to be a channel for divine beings if you feel so called to do so, or even if it's just so that you can receive the benefits and the beauty that is the connection with them. And as we touched on, a lot of people are often afraid to be like, wow, I'm connecting with angels. And then there's some people that are very in tune with them. I've had several aunts throughout my life that have collected angels their whole life, and they don't necessarily feel as if they channel them, but they have a deep sense of peace and like they feel joy being surrounded by angelic frequencies and the representation of the angels. And they often say they wish they could channel them and connect with them like I do. But again, I think it's all in their mindset, and maybe what's most beneficial to them is being surrounded by that frequency. And maybe they are, just maybe, channeling them with that inner dialogue, and they just haven't known how to acknowledge that it is an angelic energy. So if you are curious or you want to work more with angels, you want to talk about it, you want to share your stories, we would love to hear from you. You can reach out to us at the Bring Me to Life community. If you have a great story or you have some sort of angelic connection that we can fit into an upcoming episode. We're working on creating some new interview platforms and offerings and even sponsorships. If you've got like an angel course and you just happen to stumble upon this podcast out here, reach out, join the community, check out some other podcasts on Bring Me to Life Network. We have a whole stream from Sarah Hall, who does Through the Highs with the Angels. Yeah,
she does a lot of, every episode is like she's channeling angelic information.
I love it. I love it.
All right, I think we will end this part by repeating the affirmation for Zadkiel, and it is, I surrender to all that I am meant to. And another one, I forgive because I love.
Beautiful. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. Go check out thebringmelife.com. And until next time,
stay awake
and shine on always. For many of us, spirituality is just the quest to find essence or true meaning, and to really just connect with
higher consciousness.
Connecting with your spirituality is very important in this life. By becoming mindful of all of it, you can realize where you are and if that is leading you to where you want to go.
Listen to the little simple things, because it's those little simple things that are going to shift you vibrationally in such a way that will prepare you to become very intuitively minded and ready to step forward on the next part of your path.
I hope you can feel the love that's inside you, it's inside me, that connects us.
Thanks for shining on with us.